Are you tired of your day job sucking the life out of you? Well, writing online could be your ticket to freedom. So in this video, I'm gonna teach you how to start writing online and help you build a habit that you can eventually use to turn your writing hobby into a writing business and be able to make money. I'm going to cover how to choose the right topic to write about. I'm going to talk about which platforms you should choose and how to go about that whole process. And I'm also going to talk about how to create a writing process that's going to help you hone your voice, get better at writing, and put yourself in a position to be able to make money. And you're going to want to make sure you stick all the way to the end, because by the end of it, you're going to get some key recommendations for how you can translate your writing hobby and really be in the position to start making serious money. So the first thing you want to do is pick a writing topic, and before we get into the actual selection of the topic, there's a couple things I want you to keep in mind. Number one, you don't have to have the perfect niche picked right away. Number two, whatever you decide to pick as your initial idea for the topic you want to write about is something that you're going to run on an experiment, on a trial basis, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later in this video. And number three, what you'll come to find if you actually run this experiment and try this process that I'm about to show you, your writing niche is going to reveal itself over time. So as you write more, the perfect topic for you will pop up. It's really hard to think of the perfect topic right away, so give yourself the opportunity to let your voice and your writing lead you to that topic that's going to help you make money and build an audience. So there are lots of different topics you could write about online, but in general, especially the ones that make money, so there are four main categories that you can write about, more or less. There's lots of different ones you could choose, but the main four broad categories that people write about and are able to make a good income from are health, wealth, relationships, and then there's a fourth category of self-improvement, higher purpose, and happiness. So those are the broad categories, but then underneath, there are several smaller categories under them that you could think about. And this isn't something you have to choose right away, but just understand in the future that the more targeted your niche is, the more money you'd be able to charge for some sort of product or service you create on the back end. So let's talk about quickly some ways you could think about sub niches of those main four, and then we'll move on to how to select a topic for yourself. So an example of a sub topic within the topic of health would be talking about the keto diet. A subtopic for the example of wealth could be something like personal finance. A subtopic for relationships could be something like marriage. And a subtopic for something like self-improvement or higher purpose could be something like habits. So don't get too bogged down with that. Remember, your true topic will emerge over time, but just know that those are some examples of some ways you can start to navigate the landscape when it comes to choosing and then eventually honing in by writing on a topic that'll be very profitable for you. Now let's talk about how to actually go about picking a topic to write about. Again, you don't want to overthink this. You don't want to search far and wide for the perfect niche, but these questions can help you elicit some answers. So one thing you can do is just think about some challenges that you've personally overcome or things that you've gone through in your life. You don't have to have these grand monumental experiences in order to write about something. So some examples that I've thought of that could help spring some ideas for you. You started working out and lost weight. You were in a toxic relationship and got out of it. You went from introverted to learning social skills. You were lazy and you started to develop good habits. You went from not being able to dress well to having great style. So all these little different things you've gone through in your life, anything you can think of. So like take a lot of time to like write down an entire list of some challenges you've overcome, problems you've faced, things you've been through over the past, you say, year or so, and eventually you'll end up writing to that person you were just a year or two ago. Another question you can ask to find your topic is, what is something that you find easy that other people find difficult? So for me, communication, picking things up on the fly, that was very natural to me. And that's why I am very good at talking about communication, because it's something that I had an aptitude for. The next thing you can do is think about what section in the bookstore you would love to read. Like if you had to cut off all other options, which areas would you read? So for me, that's that whole pop psychology, self-improvement, business section. I was always interested in reading that stuff. So the stuff that you like to read is a very big indicator of the stuff that you could also write about. Think about some things that your family and friends have told you that you're good at. Again, I always got comments about my vocabulary, communication skills, my ambitious sort of nature. I always kind of had this like self-improvement communication background, which led to me eventually writing self-improvement content and then now content about communication. You can also go through and look at your prior work experience. So oftentimes you might be in a field already where you can start writing about it, right? So if you have a job as an accountant, you could easily talk about personal finance. If you're already a personal trainer, you could talk about fitness. If you are working as a counselor, you could talk about mental health and managing relationships and things of that nature. So you don't have to come up with something from scratch. Like you have developed skills, you have learned lessons, you have gained wisdom through your work experience and through your life experience. And then the last thing you could do is take whatever you have been thinking about and just write it down. Anything that you've kind of thought, wow, that would be cool to write about, list all those ideas down, and answering all these questions that I just shared and going through your relevant experience will just give you a list of ideas that you can begin to work with. So step 1, you're gonna brain dump a list of everything you've thought about as a topic for writing. Step 2, step away from your list for a day or two, come back and narrow it down to 3. So I want you to narrow it down to 3 ideas based on these criteria. Number 1, how likely is it that the topic that you're writing about could be something that could be turned into a product or a service? Do you see any other stuff online that's similar to the things you want to write about that is monetizable? Number 2, just taking the time to go through and look at the writing topics that you're choosing, going on places like Medium, going on places like Twitter, going on places like Substack. Go on these different writing platforms and see which one of the topics that you have listed as an interest to you have other writing out there already. You don't want to have something that no one else is writing about, because that means it's not a good market fit. And then the last thing you want to do is measure it by passion. Which one would you feel the most comfortable and passionate writing about, right? So those are these different weighting factors where you want to find the best overlap between what you want to write and what people want to read. So after you narrow it down to 3, take a step away, come back, and decide that you're going to have a loose, broad topic that you want to write about. And then we're going to move to the experiment part of the process. The next thing you're going to do is pick a platform that you want to write on. You're going to want to pick one primary platform and one secondary platform. So your primary platform, you want to think about something that you could do some sort of long form writing on. So that could be your personal blog, that could be Medium, or that could be a place like Substack. Newsbreak is also another option. Then as a secondary platform, you want to pick something that's short form, right? So you could do tweets, you could write on LinkedIn, or you could do text-based pictures on Instagram. But you just want to find, you don't want to try to be on every platform at once. You want to have one lead platform and one secondary. So my personal one is Medium for my lead platform. And I also combine that with my personal blog by copying and pasting it over, which you can do as well. And then my secondary platform is Twitter for the time being. And then after you've picked your platform, you want to create a daily writing ritual. So this is where your experiment begins. You are going to either work on your writing, editing, or publishing for the next 90 days, and you're going to do it every single day or at least every weekday. Fun little hack I like to use: get a calendar. Every time you get your writing session done, mark an X. You're going to create a chain of X's, which will create a visual representation that'll make you less likely to want to quit. But you're going to create your writing ritual And your writing ritual should have a couple things in common. Ideally, it should be at the same time every day. It should be for a similar duration, and you should be doing a similar set of things, which leads to my next point about what my writing process looks like, which you can borrow and use for yourself. So here's what my writing process looks like. Every single morning, I write down 10 ideas for headlines or articles that I want to write for the day. Step 2, I choose an article that I want to write. Step 3, I create a mind map, right? So your center of your mind map is like, what's the central idea I want to get across? The keto diet is the best diet ever. Communication is important for relationships. We need to save the planet, right? So that's your center theme. And then you create small bubbles of subtopics underneath that, and you create smaller bubbles underneath those. So that's just brain dumping all the information out. The next step, you're gonna wanna turn it into a formal outline, typing up a Google Doc with bulleted information underneath each subheading. And then after that, you wanna write your first draft. You wanna write a crappy first draft. You don't wanna edit while you write. You wanna use placeholders for areas that you get stuck. And you wanna never do anything else except for writing. No checking any social media or website tabs. And your goal is to get the entire draft done in one swing. After that, you edit your post 3 times. So I use a 3-step editing system. First edit, I read the entire piece and see if the structure looks good and see if I'm supporting the main point of my article and if my points are really strong. So I'll flesh out all the placeholders to get the full gist of the article. Then I'll read and look and see if any major areas need to be cut or reworked. On the second pass, I'll go through and I'll read every single line and I'll just ask myself whether or not it deserves to be there. If it does, I keep it. If it doesn't, I remove it. And then my third edit, I'm going through things with a fine-tooth comb, putting it in the grammar checker like Grammarly, which is one I really like to use. And then I add any relevant hyperlinks, quotes, anything like that, tidy it up in a bow. And then I publish my post on my blog, I copy it over to Medium, and then it's up and live to go. Then after that, I do a couple tweets every day. So I write 5 to 7 tweets. We'll be creating more content about social media, short form writing in the future, so stay tuned for that. But I write 5 to 7 tweets every single day, and that's the end of my writing session. So if you do that entire process for 90 days, some things will emerge that are gonna help you figure out what you need to do next. So you're gonna get responses from your audience that are gonna help you know what topics they're really responding to out of everything you wrote about, which is gonna give you clues for more content, and then it's gonna also give you clues for product and service ideas. Then, when you have a product or service that you wanna launch, you're actually gonna have active groups of people who are waiting for your message. And the last thing, your voice will be so much stronger if you decide to take a full 90 days to work on your craft that you're now gonna have high quality enough content to monetize. If you write for 90 days, then your voice is gonna be strong enough and you're gonna have writing samples to get freelance clients. You're gonna have a writing habit that's gonna help you achieve additional skills you need to monetize, like building your email list. You're gonna be able to structure your thinking a lot better, and writing well organizes your thinking and makes you a better entrepreneur. So if you go through the 90-day experiment, you're gonna have all those benefits that are gonna lead to the path to you making money down the road. Writing online can be a bit of a challenging process, but it's really rewarding. I truly believe that anyone can learn to write online. The rest of the videos I shoot in this channel are gonna show you just how to do that. So hopefully you enjoyed this one. I will see you on the next video. If you wanna get tips that are gonna help you become a better writer, build a huge audience, and monetize your writing, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel and hit that notification bell so that you don't miss any of the videos that we put out. If you're enjoying the video so far, or if you've already watched it, make sure to hit that like button, leave a comment for video ideas that you want me to drop next, and I might just make one.